I'm Steve Denier. It's BBC Radio Kent. This is the Dominic King Show, and the lady who sat literally to my left is Kay Hutchison. Welcome to BBC Radio Kent.
Thank you.
Now
Pleased to be here.
Well, it's lovely to see you. We're just having a nice chat off air, and you've released and written this lovely book, which is called My Life in 37 Therapies, and we'll get on to the book in just a second. But I thought it would be really good to start from the beginning. And I was reading the kind of pre-blurb about the book, and you had everything, didn't you? A successful career, beautiful home, loving husband, and then you decided it wasn't for you. Can you take it up from there?
Basically, I was in the south of France on holiday with my husband, and we were carefully working our way through something that we'd done for many, many years, which is go to the Grand Prix, which was very exciting but very expensive. And I realised that actually I wasn't enjoying any of it, and I really wanted to get away. And it was very hard for me to explain because I didn't really understand why, but clearly a lot of the things that we were doing, which were quite extravagant, were really not important to me anymore. And I think it was, looking back, I mean, I only discovered this later, the fact that I hadn't really dealt with the sort of illness for over 4 years of my mother and the death from cancer. And that was followed very close.
And your husband was ill as
after.
well, wasn't he?
Well, I hadn't really got over my mum's death. And then I discovered there was a lump on my husband's throat. And, of course, we went to see the doctors and they said that he had cancer as well. So I was, obviously in the back of my mind, I was thinking, oh, here we go again. Am I going to lose my husband as well? Yeah. Radio, chemo, and actually he stopped working, so I was really doing all the working, sort of running back from work to make sure he was being properly, fed and all the rest of it, because, they start to give you some proper diets and things like that. And I think the reason why that really triggered a lot of changes in my mind and made me realise that a lot of things that we've been doing as a routine for years really weren't as important. And I think if you've been through something like that, which is so horrible, actually horrendous thing to deal with, suddenly those things that might have been special to you before were no longer.
And it's interesting that it kind of almost sounds that you woke up one morning and it just kind of hit you like a truck, did it? And you just thought, that's it. Was it like, just a turning moment?
Yeah, it's really odd because I can remember we were at breakfast in the hotel and we were just about to go on to another little part of the trip. And I just I physically felt compelled to just not do this and actually get away and be in my own. It's quite difficult for me to describe exactly what it was, but I just felt that I needed to get away.
So after you had this moment, what happened next? Because you're now divorced, aren't you?
I am. So the first thing I did was I caught a flight home on my own and went back home, started thinking about what I could do, but I almost immediately started looking for a place on my own. It was that
wow. That
clear to me that I needed some time and space alone. And I'm sure now when I think back on it, dealing with a sort of close, a sort of family member who died, I just hadn't done it. So I'd been just sort of working harder and harder and harder, and I think I literally burnt myself out.
I was going to say,
run out of steam.
Almost kind of like a nervous breakdown territory, isn't it? You just can't handle anymore.
It's
and enough is enough.
I mean, I think you're the only person that said that so far, but I really do think now, looking back, I mean, there's such publicity around mental health these days, but I think, having been from a Scottish Presbyterian background, I think you're told to just ignore it, just head down, get on with it, ignore it. And sometimes when you do that to really quite an extreme extent, sometimes I think your physical system just absolutely forces you to pay attention to the fact you're ignoring what's important in your life.
And we'll get on to some of the 37 therapies that you write about in the book in a bit. But I just wonder, so the immediate aftermath of this life-changing feeling and this morning, so obviously you got divorced to your husband. What else happened? Did you continue in the same profession?
I think in a funny sort of a way, this also led to other changes in my life. So I began to do different things that totally out of character for me. I met new people.
So come on, can we discuss that then? So
yes.
So did you think I've just got to change everything? I've got to change the people I hang out with, the things I do. Tell me about some of the things you started to do.
Well, I started to do therapies. Obviously, I did a large number of therapies, but I also was made redundant, which I know it was in 2008, and that was the crash, and there were probably reasons for that. But I also felt it was because the person that I had been in my professional role, I think I was changing there too. And people noticed that I was doing lots of unusual things. And I don't think they were very comfortable with that. And I certainly was aware that I was changing. So having removed myself and started living alone, I did a lot of just thinking and walking at weekends, and not particularly sure what I was going to do. But I started talking to a few close friends about, what things I could try. And some of them that I met on yoga retreats and things like that were beginning to tell me some unusual things. And therefore I started to do things that I hadn't done before. I mean, ordinary things, acupuncture, cupping, sort of healing, Reiki, reflexology, but it led to much more involved in different things.
I'll tell you what, you and I in a moment, we'll go through the book and the things in the book, because I'm sure there are so many people listening to BBC Radio Kent thinking, I feel kind of the same, but I wouldn't have the guts, or I wouldn't have the opportunity or the financial situation to be able to get up and do other stuff. And we'll talk about that in a bit. Is that okay? We were talking a moment ago, weren't we, about your life-changing moment when obviously you had, lots of heartache with your mother passing away, and you just woke up one morning and said, who am I? And I'm not happy with my life. And life begun to change, and you were in your 40s when that happened, and obviously you said that you lost your job as well, didn't you?
Yeah,
so it all happened, like everything bad happened at once, didn't it?
Yes, it all came tumbling down.
So the book that you've just released is called My Life in 37 Therapies. So how did you begin to build your new life and think about what could kind of help you?
I think for me it was actually first of all, taking time and actually thinking about what had gone wrong. But I did that with the help of some therapies. It started very simply with a bit of massage to stop my panic attacks. I then went on to acupuncture, and I did some cupping, Reiki, reflexology.
Did all this work?
Well, they all worked in a different way. So I think cumulatively they did have quite an effect. But the most important thing is they all managed to make me think about myself as a person rather than what I had been, which was really a work machine and someone who was really totally focused on doing things. And I'd totally lost sight of the person that I was, really, a kind of spiritual being, if you like. And I think these things, because you spend a lot of time calming down and relaxing, and they allowed me to think more clearly about what I really wanted as a person for the rest of my life.
So what did you want as a person for the rest of your life?
I think I wanted to be more of a balanced person, more integrated. So I think this whole process was about integrating a sort of spiritual side to the rest, so that the mind, body, spirit are a bit more equal. It's classic. What yoga is about is actually integrating all the bits of yourself so that you feel more whole and you're clearer about what your direction is and what you like and what you don't like and what you want in life. And I think the big revelation for me is that I think in doing that, you become slightly better out in the world with other people. You understand other people a bit better. Yeah,
totally. We were chatting a moment ago about, I was saying, in the last year, I've changed jobs, and I was doing something kind of from 17 years, and then all of a sudden, my contract wasn't renewed, and everything that I thought I was just kind of came crashing down. And it wasn't actually, I was just sharing this story. I went to India last year for about 3 weeks and met new people, had different circumstances and stuff, and realised there's a big world out there. People have far worse problems than me. But it reset me, and I think sometimes, and it seems to be something in the decade of the 40s. Sometimes you just need to be reset, don't you? and to step away from the problems, almost like you can't see the wood for the trees,
But
and then
spot on.
readdress them. Would you agree with that?
I think that's right. Can't see the wood for the trees just hits the nail on the head. And so many of my friends that I talk to about the book now, they say exactly the same thing, that they're actually drowning in work and social media and demands, and and they're working harder and harder, but you cannot possibly do the pile of work that is piling up
and the
these
pressure's
days.
greater and greater
Yes.
and greater. This whole conversation has so much relevance because of everything that's in the media with mental health, anxiety, and being honest and talking up when you're not happy as well. So if someone's listening at the moment and they're thinking, this kind of sums up my life, but I feel trapped and I'm stuck and I wouldn't even know where to begin to unravel it, what would your message be?
My message would be, try something that appeals. There are always therapies out there that you could try to just give yourself some space to stop doing what you're doing and try to work out in your own mind what is really important to you as a person. We're all individual human beings. Yes, we're in this really, really busy world, but we need to give space to ourselves and our own needs so that we can be honest with ourselves what those are.
And in the book, the 37 therapies, can we discuss, say, the top two? What's personally helped
top two,
you?
okay. I think the silent retreat was the best.
Describe that. It's called Silent Retreat.
Silent Retreat. Okay, picture this. 10 days over Christmas, 50 women, 10 to 12 hours of meditation every single day. No talking, no looking at each other to discourage communication of any time. Vegetarian diet, last meal of the day, 4 o'clock in the evening. On Christmas Day, it was an apple and an orange and some herbal tea. But, it sounds like absolute purgatory.
Really
but
does.
by the end of that, because, you're learning, you're trying to meditate.
No Christmas pudding. I'm being silly, of
Christmas
course.
pudding.
Yeah.
But by the end of that, you really do get a sense of what meditation is all about. I was eating more slowly. I was digesting better. And
were you thinking clearly?
And I definitely was thinking more clearly. And the wonderful thing about that retreat, the silent retreat, was at the end, the women organising it said to us, we just want you to pay whatever you can afford. If you don't have any money, we don't expect you to pay. But I just thought that was just such a beautiful thing. And it fitted with the whole kind of ethos of what that retreat was about.
I think I would struggle with the job that I'm doing to
me
be able
too,
to do
me
that.
too. I'm
Did you?
a total chatterbox.
Right,
so
okay,
I think
so it
people
was
were
good.
surprised I didn't leave like some people did after
It
a couple of
sounds like
days.
you shut down. Yeah, so that was your restart moment. You're like,
That's such a good word to use, because I think on that day in the south of France, I think I shut down and I hid away and I thought I'd get over it and I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Shut down is such a good phrase.
I'm just thinking of a computer like reboot or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so there's that. What else? I mean, there's some crazy ones in here. Go on. Let's some out there ones.
Colonic irrigation.
Now, go on. Now, I've had that once, and it's
see,
so embarrassing.
Yeah, I know.
But tell me,
everyone
how can
talks
that
about it.
help
I mean,
you?
it is a funny sort of thing. I think some people absolutely swear by it, and I have some girlfriends who go there regularly. And I'm sure it gives you lovely clear skin, and you've got lovely bright eyes,
less bloated,
you've got flat stomach, la la la. But actually, the process of it, I just don't want to do that again, because I felt like a beached, whale, sort of bloated up, and I could hear this gurgling inside, and I'm sure it was cleaning me out from the other end, but actually, it just seemed quite barbaric to me in the end.
So that didn't work for you.
So that didn't work for me. Cupping, what a surprise that has been.
Now, this is all the rage. I've been reading about this in magazines. This is
I've had a good experience of that and a bad experience.
Okay.
But the good experience was I went to actually someone in Tunbridge Wells here, wonderful Chinese therapist. And I went in and said, could you give me a massage? And she said, well, I think actually she did some, fiddling about and checking my back. She said, I think today we give you cupping. And I thought, all right then. And I tell you, I came out of there, and the rest of the day, I really felt that my back pain, my lower back pain stiffness was completely gone.
Wow.
So, and I did.
Did you have those crazy marks? You look like something out of Doctor Who.
Yes, And they last for days. They really do. They get quite angry.
Okay, so don't plan a night out straight after you have this done.
Well, not with a sort of topless thing, no.
And so after the book, and it must have been quite a therapeutic process putting the book together as well. How are you feeling now?
I feel wonderful in many, many ways, because it's kind of a relief that being completed, because it took me quite a long time to write it, and obviously thinking about the things involved, and you're being very open and honest about many things, about childhood influences and the people that I met and the experiences I had. But I do think it's the best I could possibly do in actually explaining what happened to me as a story.
And the thing is, you could spend days on end looking online for all of these therapies. It's pretty much all in that book, isn't it? It's like a one-stop shop for potential remedies, actually, that might make your life better.
I suppose it is, yes.
And also, one final question. So how long between that kind of moment, of that pivotal moment of I need to change things, and now? How many years are we talking about? How many years have you changed?
14, actually.
14,
yeah,
wow.
It's a long time.
You look so happy and rested and peaceful here.
It's taken me a long while to find that level of balance, though. And I just don't, obviously for me it wasn't a quick fix, but I hope for other people that it would be a quicker fix, because in today's world you do have the internet, you do have this openness about mental health, and also about being honest about who you are.
So just to wrap up, if somebody's listening right now and they're thinking, I pretty much need to do something to change my life, what should be the first thing? What's the first thing you should address or go to?
Well,
think about?
I actually think, it's not very exciting, but yoga is the very best thing, because it does all of those things. Find someone that you can gel with. I notice yoga classes nowadays, they're not full of women all the time. They're full of men and women together. It's really a great place to start, because that is where you'll find out that there's a little bit more than just mind and body.
Great stuff. Fascinating. Thank you so much. And good to see you looking so happy and healthy. Kay Hutchison, author of My Life in 37 Therapies. The book's out now, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Lovely to speak to you. Thank you for coming in tonight on BBC Radio Kent.